Hi, thank you for watching. My name is Karen Marie, and today I thought I would talk about the adventure of the cape. So I have been feeling a lot like the dark academia style has been really speaking to me lately. The whole like Harry Potter, Oxbridge in the 50s, all tweed, brown, charcoaly, black. That's the sort of vibe that I've been feeling lately. And I remembered that I, perhaps like 3 years ago, bought this pattern. And it is a Vogue pattern. It's a Very Easy Vogue for V8959. And it has just been sitting in my stash. It has been a struggle, I have to say. I said I've been feeling all the Harry Potter things because I've just recently reread the whole series for the umpteenth time. But I'm starting to believe that this project was cursed. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but for now, I'll cut in a little bit of video from the day I started the project and notice the optimism. A couple of years ago, I bought this absolutely stunning wool boucle from my local fabric store. And I have been kicking myself ever since for not just buying the entire roll of that thing because it is glorious. It is not too thick. It is like this bluey greenish color. It's been in my stash for a little while because every time I pull it out, I think it's too gorgeous to cut into. But I am now making an effort to place all the pattern pieces. I don't have quite enough, but I think I can sort of cheat a little bit because it's so wide. I can sort of cheat a little bit along the straight edges, I think. So I'm going to have a go. Yeah, as I said, it's a Very Easy Vogue pattern. I don't tend to sew up many of the big four patterns because I usually sort of prefer the indie patterns, but this really spoke to me because I've always liked capes, and I think that they actually are quite practical in a way, because if you have like a woolen jumper that it's hard to sort of fit into an outer jacket, or you have like a really blousy big sleeves kind of dress and you just want something to throw over, a cape can be really practical. So anyway, I started the project. I cut everything out of the outer layer, and then the first thing happened. And that was that the lining that I had intended must either have shrunk or been narrower than I had any idea of, because I didn't have enough lining fabric. And it was this light blue acetate thing. But then, I thought, let's just roll with it, because I had some darker blue viscose that it was like a similar weight. So I figured, let's just make this work. I figured I'll just cut out some pieces of the lining from the acetate and some from the viscose. It won't be a big deal. Well, that turned out to be a big deal. But anyway, all the pieces were cut out and I went down to my sewing room and started. And the first things that I discovered was that some of the pieces are very, very, very similar. So I should have marked them clearly, because there's a back piece that you cut on the fold, and then there are two side backs. Then there are two side fronts and two fronts. not hard, but the side backs and the side fronts are very, very similar. So I should have marked them, because the first thing that I did was to get the back piece and then sew the one of the back side backs to that, and then I confused the pattern pieces and sewed one of the side fronts to the other half of the of the back. Then I continued to sew one of the side backs to one of the front pieces, etc. And it was only when I started to really press that I saw that those pieces did not really go together. So, okay, seam ripper. No big deal. Cut one of the back pieces off. Turns out I cut the wrong piece off. All right, sew that back on, cut the other one off. All right, all good. Then I cut the back, side back that I had sewn to the front off. And then somehow I managed to just do it all over again, to sew the side front to the back. You know, and this is why this is just the beginning, which is why I think this whole process was just cursed. After much, frustration, let's call it that, I managed to get all the pieces of the outer fabric all sewn together. Then the lining came along, and that's when I discovered that either the stay stitching didn't really work, or some other witchcraft had turned in, because there was a lot of dragging in the lining and it didn't really add up. So I might have just made an error when I cut it out. I don't know. Because the lining was like, didn't at all match up at the bottom of the pieces. So, seam ripper again. And so the story continues. I'll make a very long and frustrating story short. The lining eventually came together. However, I must have, when it was time to fix the lining to the outer fabric, I must have done something like really odd, because it all went fine. Sewing the sides together and the top together, that worked fine. But then when I was to hem it, I understood the pattern to mean that I should tuck the lining inside the hem of the outer layer. Don't know what happened, but it turned out that I had major fabric pulling, so I had to unpick the entire hem, and let me tell you, the hem of that cloak is long. And in the meantime, I managed to damage the hem of the lining, so there were huge cuts into that. So I was considering just, hemming the lining and let it flow like freely inside the cape. But that was, too late for that. So off I went to a haberdashery shop, and I bought some very wide, like cotton twill tape. And I thought, if I stabilize the hem of the lining on the back of the lining, I can manage to sort of hide everything, at least, if nothing else. And off I went. And then I figured out that I had not bought enough cotton twill tape. So, either he measured wrong in the fabric store, or I told him wrong, which, I'm perfectly happy to accept my responsibility for that, because I probably just told him the wrong yardage of that. In the end, it turned out not very nice at all, understatement of the year, inside. However, I managed to sort of get the cotton twill tape attached where it needed it most. I managed to tack the lining to the seam allowances of the outer layer, just to sort of hold it in place. And then I have to tell you that I know the lighting is awful because it's pitch black outside. I'm not wearing makeup, my hair is all over the place, but this is because I was determined to get this video out today, and I managed to delete the video I recorded earlier today. So all in all, this is just a cursed project. However, now that you've listened to all my sulking of not getting this right, the end product, I must say, I'm very happy with, even though the inside looks like a train wreck. And with all the problems and everything, I am going to wear this because I love the fabric, I love the pattern, and all the mistakes that happened in this endeavor was entirely my own doing. But, you know, I think it's important that we also share the rockier sides of our sewing journeys, and that we share the mistakes that we made and the things that didn't go to plan just as much as the other ones that where all went smooth and and good. Mistakes happen. So I hope you enjoyed watching my little sewing adventure and that you like the end product just as much as I did. So I hope that you are enjoying yourselves, that you're having some time to sew this week coming up, and that you have a lovely week. See you later. Bye.